Growing Up Weird.
Hi, and welcome to Growing Up Weird, the podcast where we explore... Folks, we've had that old intro for way too long. Let's have something new. For those who don't know, you are listening to Growing Up Weird, which is a podcast all about how what happens to you in childhood affects your adulthood, mental and physical health, and how that differs wildly between traditional cultures and Western, educated, industrialised, rich and democratic, or weird cultures. We're going to talk about some news, we're going to talk about an article, and we're going to answer a question or two. Are you ready? Good. Gwen, do you want to start with some news?
I absolutely do want to start with some news, Greg, and today I have a particularly juicy piece of news which I think will be right up your street. So the paper I found today was looking at how young chimpanzees take risks and how that varies throughout their childhood.
Actual chimpanzees, that's
Actual
not a
chimpanzees.
Cute name for small children.
No, absolutely not. This is from Murray et al. From the University of Michigan, published in the journal iScience. And what they did was they looked at chimpanzees, wild chimpanzees, and they looked at the sort of jumps and the sort of movements they took and quantified them according to a level of risk. I haven't been through the entire method section. It was pretty complex.
Like jumps out of trees and things?
Jumps out of trees.
Okay.
What height are they jumping from?
The fun stuff.
The fun stuff, exactly. And they looked at, does the sex of a chimpanzee predict how many risks it takes?
And?
The answer is no. So
interesting.
Young males and young females take similar risks.
Fine.
And also whether how risk-taking varies with age.
Okay.
Because in many human cultures, you see a peak in adolescence of risk-taking behaviours.
Sure.
And so it was hypothesised this might be the same if it was a hormonal reason to take risks in puberty, that it might be the same in chimpanzees.
Yeah, because although we do have a different milieu, different levels of hormones, we still have a puberty that is somewhat similar.
Exactly. But what they found, interestingly, was there is no increase in risk-taking around puberty in chimpanzees.
Huh.
In fact, the risks that chimpanzees take are highest in young infancy and then decline with age.
Okay.
So adolescent chimps are much less risky than your baby chimps.
Than the little gambling babies.
Okay. Exactly.
Sorry, I've just realised there's a good joke in there. I'm not going to go for it.
Gambling and gambling.
Yeah, there you go.
I like it. Yeah. But I thought that was pretty interesting because I think it's very easy to say, adolescents take risks for hormonal reasons.
Sure.
But that isn't quite in line with what these researchers observed. And the researchers suggested that perhaps the reason that we see an increased risk around in adolescence is because that is a time when children typically have less supervision. And so it unmasks risk-taking
revealing
behaviour.
how risky they were.
Yeah.
I mean, it's possible.
It is possible. And it certainly ties in with the whole kind of risky play discussions that are increasingly prevalent at the moment about the importance of young children having exposure to risk and learning to deal with risk at a young age to protect them from doing risky behaviours in adolescence and beyond.
Or maybe our puberties are just very different to our closest genetic relatives.
Yeah, exactly. That is the other possibility.
I don't have to go and read about chimpanzee puberty.
Yeah.
Thanks for that.
You're welcome.
May I jump in with some news?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. Have you got more news, Gwen?
No, I've only got that one. I got just too caught up with the chimpanzees.
I was overwhelmed by the richness of the research in the last couple of weeks. I've got 5.
Okay, let's keep them quick.
So I'm going to scamper through them.
Yeah, do it.
First one's not even recent. It was submitted in 2022 and published in 2023. But
this better be good.
Follow me. It has been all over the internet in the last few months.
Okay.
You may have seen kind of gross-looking dishwasher pods with intestinal epithelium AI imaged onto them. Have you seen this?
No, I have not.
Because it is all over my feeds.
Wow.
The internet is absolutely sure that I want to buy dishwasher pods, which for somebody without a dishwasher, I think is a bold claim.
I have a dishwasher.
Yeah.
His name's Greg.
His name's me. But yeah, so a study that was put out in 2023 in the Journal of Allergy and Clinical Immunology by Ogula et al. Put together a cute little microorgan array, and they grew human intestinal epithelium.
Yeah.
And it's a pretty standard technique. It's a pretty cool technique, but you can grow micro pieces of organs and you can throw things at them and see what they do.
Yeah.
And they said, all right, look, if we chuck normal concentrations of this dishwashing detergent at these cells, let's see what they do. And what they did was to break their tight junctions and release a bunch of help we're dying signals, which you would expect. That's what dishwasher pods are meant to do. They're meant to break down organics and release them. Then they washed, they exposed these cells to the amount of dishwasher detergent that would be left on a glass that had been washed, rinsed, and then filled for drinking. And it still provoked punching little holes and loss of tight junctions and stuff, which I find very interesting.
Wasn't that the paper, though, where that was only for the professional?
Yeah, I'm getting onto that.
Okay, all right. I had this feeling that there was a funny thing here.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. So they did that with a range of different detergents. This is why I think it's important to talk about, because this is where science and fear-mongering have two different faces of what could be the same coin.
Yeah.
They said, this was picked up at the Daily Mail and other nonsense magazines.
I remember that. Yeah.
And said, dishwasher tabs are going to destroy your guts and you'll all be allergic to everything. And then somebody said, hang on a second, didn't you test a range of different dishwasher type detergents, and wasn't it only alcohol ethoxylates in professional rinse aids that had any effect at all at the concentration you find on the product after it's been washed?
Yeah.
So on the glass or on the plate or on the fork or knife, whatever, after it's been washed. And yes, that is true. So the reason I'm bringing it up now is it's been all over the internet recently in the last few months, and it is worth understanding that yes, professional level rinse aids, if you are constantly, let's say you drink a glass of water 3 times a day in a cafe and it goes through a rinse aid thing every darn time, yeah, that'll cause some gut inflammation and it can make various things worse. It might make you more likely to become allergic to stuff. But the effect is not found in home dishwashers, and if you're only going in a cafe every now and again, don't bleed and worry about it.
Yeah.
Cool, there you go. That's study number 1. Studies number 2 through 5 will go much faster.
Okay, yeah.
Here we go. Study number 2. Absolutely hilarious collection of Thai scientists and 1 or 2 cantankerous Aussies from the University of Curlin University in Perth, and where are these folks from? Yes, the Centre for Nutrition and Food Research and Education, linked with, Chulalongkorn University in Bangkok.
Okay.
Studied a bunch of university students in Australia and said that if you have more than 10 hours a week playing computer games, you are pretty much universally knackering your sleep quality. They could not find anybody playing more than 10 hours of computer games per week who had reasonable levels of sleep. And they, at the end, said that there is a very strong link between how people sleep at university and how they go on to sleep in the rest of their life.
Oh, that's interesting.
So
it's not just that they are... Well, it's so different cause and effect, right?
Indeed.
If you can't sleep, maybe you play computer games.
Maybe you play games. What I find quite interesting about this one is that they looked at people who are playing less than 5 hours, which they called light use, between 5 and 10, which they called medium use, and over 10, which they called heavy use. Fine. They could not find any difference between the sleep quality or other health, so body composition, activity, a couple of other things they looked at, between the light and medium.
Interesting.
So they reckon there's a threshold at around 10 hours a week. And if you go over that, you're starting to be in trouble. I thought that might be useful for people listening who are thinking, you know what, either I'm at university or I'm getting to that sort of stage with my kids and they play a lot of computer games and I don't think I can get them to stop. Well, if you can get them below about 10 hours a week, you are in a much safer zone than if they're over 10 hours a week.
Yeah.
There you go. Ready for another one?
Yeah.
Quick as I can. Here we go. Simplest way teens can protect their mental health is...
Oh my goodness. Going outside.
Well, yeah, that and getting rid of smartphones. But a nice one was published on January 7th out of the University of Oregon, which is sleep in at the weekends.
Sleep in at the weekends?
Yep. So
that is one that has kind of... There are headlines feel like there's flip-flopping on this, right? It's like, you should absolutely stick to your circadian rhythm, and if you wake up 15 minutes later, one day a week, you are going to be absolutely, you're not going to sleep for the next month. I don't know, I've seen some real, again, fear-mongering around this.
Yes.
But I've also seen that teens always are in sleep debt, and so giving them a chance to make up a bit is a good thing. Is that what you're saying there?
That's exactly what
Brilliant,
I'm saying.
okay.
The University of Oregon and New York Upstate University, Medical University, collaborated on a study. They saw 41% lower risk of depressive symptoms in people who slept in at the weekend between the ages of 16 and 24. But there are clear confounders here that if you have enough free time and low enough pressure to go out and do an early morning job, that you can sleep in at the weekends, you are much less likely to be depressed.
Yeah.
So potentially, this study is absolutely correct, and getting that bit of extra sleep protects you from depression.
Yeah.
Or maybe people who can get that sleep aren't going to be depressed anyway.
Yeah.
Science! Okay, here we go. Next one. Last one. Oh no, it's not last one. I've got two more. Here we go. A really, really interesting paper in Nature. Not that much about child development, but about gut dysbiosis.
Okay, yeah.
And they are looking at various forms of gastrointestinal cancers.
Okay, yeah.
And saying, look, these people with a more diverse, more healthy gut microbiome not only survive better against cancer, but survive the anticancer drugs better as well.
Okay, interesting.
And at the end, in the conclusion, they do talk about how your gut microbiome stabilizes at like 6 years old, and that sets you up for your lifelong microbiome. And what I take from this is we have the opportunity to set up 6-year-olds to survive cancer better by giving them interesting foods.
Yeah.
Which is wicked.
Super cool, isn't it?
So I think that's really cool. That is a study by Andrew Allen Alamante, which is a phenomenal name, published, not in Nature, but in Cell Research. And it was discussed on the Nature website. Last thing then, really quick.
almost there.
I'm really there. I'm a group of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 scientists out of the Southern Medical University in Guangzhou in China, Guangzhou possibly, looked at 360,000 UK health records.
Okay.
The UK Biobank, who have an average age of 56 years.
Okay.
And said, these people have self-reported their childhood size, whether they were plump, as described in the paper, skinny, as described in the paper, or of average weight.
Okay.
They have then cross-referenced that against risk of various other diseases. And normally, that wouldn't give you a huge amount of information, but with 360,000 full health records, you can pull quite a lot out of that. And they found, as you'd expect, that chubby kids grow into adults who have various metabolic weirdnesses and can lead to non-communicable disease states. They also found the same thing happens to skinny kids. So there's kind of a healthier region in the middle. We knew this. That's pretty standard. I'm not blowing anybody's mind here. But what we didn't know, or what we might not have known so well, is that correcting that, or at least changing that, back to normal weight, reduces those health detriments by a maximum of 30%.
Okay.
Which I find really interesting. And it improves the health more for kids who've lost weight than for kids who've gained up to a kind of normal healthy weight.
Oh, that is interesting.
And they don't go into why. It's much more of an epidemiology paper. But I find that really interesting. I think it gives a huge amount of hope, that these things aren't entirely set in stone, but B, is a nice little marker that it does make a difference. So you're not trapped if you're a young kid who's potentially not in the trajectory you're trying to get into.
Yeah.
But it is interesting that the two directions aren't the same in terms of recovery.
Interesting.
There
Well,
we
as a
go.
chubby pre-adolescent, I like that.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm not a chubby
You're
pre-adolescent
not
now.
though. I was about to say, I'm not looking at chubby pre-adolescent.
Great, all right. My goodness, that was quite
How
a
much
mission.
room my papers
Yeah,
there?
yeah, absolutely.
So, 6 pieces of news out of the way, Guinevere.
Yeah, okay.
What is it we're talking about today?
So today we're talking about the very early postnatal period,
Okay.
or the first name a unit of time.
Yes.
Here. Yeah, so the first 1,000 seconds, the first 1,000 minutes, and then the first 100 hours, because 1,000 hours is actually quite a long time. That what I worked out. But I think one of the things that that we pull out in the article is that there's loads of talk about the first 1,000 days of life and why those are really important for lots of aspects of child health.
Yep.
And that is true, but there's nothing magic about the first 1,000 days. The first bit is the magic bit. The first something is always more important than the second something.
Why?
Well, Greg, I think if anyone is going to be able to talk
you're
about
not gonna give it to me.
exponentials,
You're gonna give it to
I'm
me.
going to hand it back to you. Why is the first chunk of any time in a child's life more important than the second?
Because nature loves an exponential. Because the amount that you can develop today is based on how much you have already developed.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and this is not true for adults. So
Yeah.
I am outright lying to you. The amount you
Yeah.
can develop today is not based on how much you've already developed because you're an adult. But if you are a newborn anything, you go through a period where the amount that you can learn is based on how many learning skills you have already learned. Yeah? Or the amount that you can walk is based on how much walking you've already done.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of exponential. The each step is bigger than the last, and you have to do them in order.
Mm-hmm.
So when you start, makes an enormous difference to where you're at by day 12,
Yeah.
day 120, day 1,200, whatever.
Yeah.
We can do decimals, but that first exponential period makes a huge difference. Now, you mentioned S curves in your article, I
Yeah.
think. And for anybody who's not familiar with an S curve, the idea that the amount you can develop today is based on how much you've already developed is well known. That gives you kind of an exponential growth thing. But there are limits on these things. There is only so fast the human brain can process, only so far the human eye can see, all of that. And so you've kind of got a ceiling on stuff. And the closer you get to that, the harder it is to make any further progress.
Yeah.
So you start slow, you accelerate like crazy, and then you slow down and reach your plateau of development. Mm-hmm. And so everybody gets to the same sort of place eventually. Mm-hmm. But in the middle, people can be in wildly different states based on when they got started.
Yeah.
And this is the whole thing about critical periods and critical windows, right? That when you are at age, I don't know, 6 months, and something is starting to lock in, the capability and strength and skill set you've got can be wildly different based on what you did 5 months ago when you were 1 month old.
Yes.
So yeah, is that good enough answer?
Yeah, I think that is good. So what we talked about then was, okay, so these first chunks of time in a newborn baby's time in the outside world are really, really important. And we looked at what it is that baby and mother bodies expect in those chunks of time.
Sure.
So we can think about actually when we are planning to have a baby, or when someone close to us is going to have a baby, what is it that we can do to set a baby up for long-term better health in those critical first periods?
Okay. Now, I read your article, and I'm used to a particular type of article from you, which is, and I'm paraphrasing here, so please don't take offense, but they are articles that say this thing will set you up for good health in the long term. In the West, we don't get it for these reasons. In other places, they do get it for these reasons, and here's the mechanism by which we're going to change stuff. And they're very useful. This is a different thing. What have you written here?
So what I've tried to do here, Greg, is to explain why there are system effects of certain things that we do or don't do, and how those interact with other pieces that are going on at the same time. Because, so there were 4 obvious pieces here that are critically important in that very early stage. Skin to skin, establishment of breastfeeding, elimination communication, so helping a baby to toilet, and co-sleeping.
Sure.
So these are the 4 elements that are very interrelated in that early postnatal period. And I thought about dealing with them each on their own, but the problem with that is that they so closely interact and support each other, so you end up in a very different place if you do all of them to even if one of them is missing, because they are all so interdependent.
Yeah.
And what I was trying to convey through this article is actually what is it that this system has evolved for, and therefore what are the gains and what are the benefits that we can do. And I chose to illustrate it with description rather than unpacking it in the way that I often do articles.
Yeah, well, it certainly makes for a more narrative. I'm not going to say enjoyable, but I quite enjoyed the narrative piece. I liked it. Okay. The other thing that's different about this is that in your other ones, because you're concentrating on an individual thing, not a whole tied together system, it's very easy to say, and the effect on adulthood health is this.
Yeah.
Whereas I guess if you laid out the differences to adulthood health from all of the things in this article, they would be page after page after page after page of benefits, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And there are certain elements that link to other articles I've got. So, for example, about how guts develop.
Sure.
About how jaws develop if we're thinking about breastfeeding, about how sleep architecture develops in those early stages. So,
what's sleep architecture?
So how... great question. How our bodies learn to fall asleep and sustain sleep and to wake up from sleep.
Right.
So architecture is a really daft name for it, isn't it?
I mean, I was imagining some sort of grand sleep palace.
No. It's just like how long we spend in different stages, how we do sleep.
How we do sleep. Why can't scientists use phrases like that?
We do sleep. Yeah. So I guess, a lot of this links into other articles where we've focused on a body system, an organ system, and then taken that through. But what I've tried to do here is pull those things together to look at a system at a very specific point in time.
I like it. Okay. Well, that leaves us with the obvious question then, which is, what can people learn from this?
I think there are 2 points. The first is that...
That's a very loud washing machine. Short technical break, folks. Welcome back. Gwen, you were saying there are 2 things.
Yeah, absolutely. So first, there are these 4 elements that support each other during that early postnatal period. And so they're not really pick and mix. If you're wanting to achieve one of them, it is easier if you do the other 3 as well, because they support you in that direction.
Yeah.
And 2, it's really hard to do this alone. So if you are having a baby or you know someone who's having a baby, maybe think just a little bit about how you or the other person can get support. And that might be, if it's you, asking someone to come and help, a friend, a relative, a parent. If it's someone else, think about what you could provide to help that person feel more supported in that early period.
Flowers, right? Lots of flowers.
Not flowers.
Not flowers?
No flowers.
Balloons.
No flowers. If nothing else, food.
I remember the first day or 2 days after our firstborn was first born. And I remember the guidance you see on websites is like, make sure people don't stay for more than 45 minutes. It's all about you time. Mm-hmm. I could have done with somebody sticking around for a few hours to do some washing up. Yeah. Because, as I've said, I do the washing up right here, and I would much rather have just been sat next to you going, ooh. Interesting. Yeah, I can see how our culture doesn't really give us the support we need to set all those 4 things up for success. Mm-hmm. Soon may that change. Mm-hmm. Right then. That was fascinating. Thank you. Do we have a listener question? Mm-hmm.
I do, yes.
Tell me.
So this was in response to the article on treats that we had a couple of weeks back.
Indeed.
And one of the listeners said, I love giving fruit as gifts, but I think some of the positive effect of that might be lost if it became more mainstream.
Ooh.
So how do you move towards healthy treats but prevent them from becoming so popular that they stop being treats?
Oh, you wanted to like it before it was cool and now it's getting cool?
Yes, exactly that problem. And I was like, oh, so I have a thought on this, but I'm going to ask you first, Greg. I mean, do you think it will be a problem? Like, do you think, yeah.
All right. I have not brushed up on treats, but if I remember rightly, they need to be fun, tasty, socially acceptable / rewarding.
Yeah.
And the other one.
Scarce.
Scarce.
There you go.
Thank you. Now, fruit is not scarce. We live in a post-scarcity society for the time being. But you can always buy a watermelon, which is freaking weird when you think about it. But you can. So that's not changing anytime soon, hopefully. It's always going to be tasty. It's always going to be fun. Peel's not changing. Plus or minus easy peelers. What might change is the societal reward and the weirdness, right? I don't think that's enough to get in the way of fruit being a good treat.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's also, we talked about so not in a world where fruit is not scarce. There's also a lot of different options. Fruit can be many different things.
Fruit can be many different things. You're absolutely right.
So I guess there is still potentially a novelty or a difference because no one family is going to eat all of the fruit every day, right? One would hope, unless they are maybe the chimpanzees that we referred to earlier.
I mean, these aren't just apples. These are M&S apples. These are English-grown Kentish blush.
That was kind of, I guess, I thought, if let's assume that maybe it did become, fruit became so widely available it wasn't a treat. But then the scarcity piece, really, or the kind of novelty is then why is it special from you? And I guess that is then homegrown or at least home picked or something like that. So it's, from a different place. All of those things are novelty to a certain extent.
Yeah.
But I just would be really surprised if it ever became like a problem.
I completely agree.
And in a lot of cultures where fruit still is a treat, it's not that, even though it's always been a treat, it's not that it's a problem, right?
I think both of us could waffle about this subject for a good 20 minutes. I think we also both agree that there are enough different ways to shake it up.
Yeah.
Right. Fine, you've given somebody a melon and it was hand coloured with a gold Sharpie to have cool patterns all over it. Yeah. Or you've given somebody a type of kumquat they've never seen in their entire life.
A banana with a name written on it. I saw that you did that for a little kid. He was so delighted.
He was so happy. He ran around showing everybody a banana with his name on it. Yeah, sure. I don't think
you need much novelty to go.
I know how to give a 6-year-old a gift. All right, I reckon we're done. Let's wrap this up.
Yeah.
Folks and other folks, you've been listening to Growing Up Weird with me, Dr. Greg Dickens, and
me, Dr. Gwen Bradbury.
Have a great time. See you later.